We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Wednesday, November 12th. Yesterday, a good day. Shout out to Florida Gulf Coast for not being able to play defense. In all fairness, I witnessed Georgia Southern pull up from literally 10 feet behind the three-point line and just start chucking threes the entire game. They didn't hit in the first half. In the second half, Georgia Southern legitimately shot about 68% from beyond the arc. It was absurd. So FGCU lost. We had a good day otherwise. Or other than that, obviously, Iona played well. Air Force played well. Let's do more of the same today. Folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, our NBA best bets up on the channel as well. Yesterday, we posted our college football predictions for week number 12, over 4 hours of college football week 12 predictions, so you're not going to want to miss that. We did move back our NFL predictions. That's going to be posted today at 5, so be on the lookout for week 11 of our NFL picks. Again, next week should go back to the normal time, but 5 p.m. today for our NFL predictions. And on Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC 322 predictions with Jack Della Maddalena taking on Islam Makhachev for the welterweight championship in New York. Okay, welterweight title. Anyways, let's move on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. Starting things off with the Hoosiers. I think it's time to rank the Hoosiers, okay? I think it's time to rank the Hoosiers soon. Indiana is an undefeated team this season. They are a completely new team, obviously, no returning players, and the Hoosiers are 2-0, and they just put up 100 points on Marquette. Guys, this line, 23.5, it would have been competitive when Indiana played Marquette, and now they get this against Milwaukee? Come on now. This game won't be competitive because, guys, this isn't the Mike Woodson Indiana Hoosiers. This isn't, the days where we had to rely on Trey Galloway to score 20 points. No. This is an all-around dominant team filled with amazing mid-major players and Tucker DeVries. This team's going to be nasty this year, man. I was on the fence at the beginning of the year. I've watched this team play twice. We're all in. And sure, we have taken the Hoosiers in both their games they've played so far this year. In their blowout win over the Alabama A&M Bulldogs in their first game at Assembly Hall, and in their last game at the United Center against Marquette, we've taken the Hoosiers in both of those games. We're taking them again. I mean, this is a bye game, obviously. Indiana taking on the Horizon League's Milwaukee Panthers. Milwaukee's a 2-1 team coming off victories over Hampton at home and Little Rock, and a loss sandwiched in between those on the road at Wofford. But, I mean, Indiana should completely dominate this basketball team. And, guys, the Hoosiers should be starting. I mean, if we're being realistic here, the Hoosiers should go 8-0 to start the year. They should. And then we'll see about the Louisville game. I know Louisville, again, coming off a big victory yesterday, and the Hoosiers will actually play both Louisville and Kentucky. But we're thinking at least 8-0. Milwaukee win, obviously Incarnate Word win, Lindenwood win, K-State victory, yes, that's a victory, Bethune-Cookman win, at Minnesota, that should be a win, more on the Gophers later. We'll see again if Indiana is what I think they're going to be this season. They should be able to go to Minneapolis and win, who knows. But yeah, guys, I'm actually very optimistic. This should be a tournament team this year. I mean, it's, Indiana Hoosier basketball teams need to be in the NCAA tournament, right? It's a damn shame they have not been there since the 23 season. That is just absurd stuff, okay? They'll be back this year. 2-0 start to the year. My goodness, this lineup is just playing and firing on all cylinders. Of course, we can always talk about Tucker DeVries coming out of West Virginia. He is going to be the star of this team. But how about Lamar Wilkerson, man? How about Wilkerson so far? This is a player last year at Sam Houston, averaged 20-plus points per game. In 2 games so far with Indiana, he's averaged 21 points. Again, he's starting at the 2 for this team. I think Wilkerson's done an amazing job so far. Of course, again, him and DeVries, you've got a bunch of transfers, obviously, that we can talk about with Indiana. The entire team is filled with transfers, but that's okay. That's college basketball. And Indiana, basically said sayonara to everyone last year, which was the right thing to do. Obviously, you had Ballo graduate, you had Anthony Leal graduate, Trey Galloway, you had a guy like Gabe Cupps transfer. That's A-okay because they have replaced, again, all those guys with DeVries, Wilkerson, Connor Enright, Tatum Connerway. I mean, those are the 2 1 guards on this team. There are players up and down the lineup. They're starting both Connerway and Enright right now, too. They're going small. That's okay. That's okay. I think Indiana's playing phenomenal basketball right now. Again, 100 points against Marquette, 98 points against Alabama A&M, and they are going to make Milwaukee look like the mid-major that they are. No disrespect to the Milwaukee Panthers. This is a team last year in the Horizon League that played very well, ended up losing in the Horizon League tournament to the Oakland Grizzlies, but they were a 14-6 team in the Horizon League last year. They're going to get got tonight, though, against the Indiana Hoosiers. They're going to Bloomington, guys. Assembly Hall now, again, last couple seasons, going to Assembly Hall has not been that difficult. Okay, 2 years ago, going to Assembly Hall, at least in Big Ten play, was a very easy thing to do. I mean, I witnessed Penn State walk into Indiana and win. I witnessed Keisei Tominaga and Nebraska walk into Indiana and win, walk into Assembly Hall and win. It's nothing against Mike Woodson, but it's different now, okay? It's just different now. I watched Northwestern walk into Bloomington and win. I was in attendance for all of these games. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was betting against Indiana back then because, we could pick that up pretty early that the 2024 team was not very good. They're back now. They're back. That core is done. Again, no disrespect to Renaud, who's now at Miami, and obviously, Khalil Ware is now in the NBA and all those guys. This is a much better talent-filled lineup that I believe the Hoosiers have. For the Milwaukee Panthers, this is a team led in scoring currently by 2 players, Seth Hubbard, their senior out of Jonesboro, Georgia. He played at Toledo last year. And then Amar Aguilar. Aguilar, I believe, is a senior as well from Zion, Illinois. Played at Fresno State last season. Dropped 13 points per game last year for the Bulldogs in only 11 games. But now he's at Milwaukee. Again, those are your 2 best scorers, sure. But I think the Hoosiers are much better, obviously, than Milwaukee. And yeah, this is a crazy line at 23.5 points. But guys, Indiana did just beat Marquette by 23. And if the Hoosiers are going to establish themselves this season as a dominant force and a team that is going to be very good this entire year, which we expect them to be, they will win games like this against Milwaukee by 24 points, right? If they are everything that we think they are, and I'm pretty sure after the win against Shaka Smart and Milwaukee, they are that great. Indiana should blow Milwaukee out of the water because they're at a point now where they will not be competitive with mid-majors. And sure, Indiana never really has been competitive with mid-majors, but they're going to start blowing them out by 30-plus points, okay? I know we really can't comp Milwaukee and Alabama A&M considering the Bulldogs play in the SWAC, but Indiana did beat Alabama A&M in Bloomington 98-51. So give me Indiana at home. The Hoosiers minus 23.5 should blow out the Milwaukee Panthers tonight. On to our second best bet of the video, we move to a Big Ten versus SEC matchup. Again, I did reference the Golden Gophers a little bit earlier because the Hoosiers' first Big Ten matchup this year in early December is in Minneapolis. But here we have a matchup between 2 power conference schools in the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Milwaukee and the Minnesota. Minnesota is playing Missouri. I don't think Missouri's 8 points better than Minnesota. A lot of M's. Milwaukee, Minnesota, Missouri. I don't think Missouri is 8 points better than the Golden Gophers. I think Missouri's got a decent team. Don't get me wrong. The SEC is a talent-filled conference. Missouri last year did make the tournament. They were a 6th seed, and they lost in the first round to Drake, which, pretty expected. They, really crapped the bed at the end of the SEC year last season. But regardless, obviously, still a talent-filled squad this season. Leading scorer currently is Mark Mitchell, senior at Kansas City, was at Missouri last year. Obviously started with Duke and had a big presence at Duke his first couple of seasons there, and now here obviously at Missouri. Last year he averaged 14 points per game. I expect Mitchell to average a lot more this year. Again, obviously 20 per game so far. We shall see. It's a Missouri team that brought back a decent amount of guys, but at the same time brought some guys in from the portal as well. Last victory was a 106-68 victory over the Virginia Military Institute, or VMI. They put belt to ass on the Cadets. I mean, the Cadets score 50 in the first half, score 56 in the second half, and just dominate all around. Again, Mitchell is going to be the leading scorer, but then you also got players like Anthony Robinson II, who is their starting point guard, again, returning player from last year. They are starting Sebastian Mack at the 2, who obviously, if you remember from UCLA, Mack had a weird role at times at UCLA. At times it felt, in 2023, 2024, felt like the coaching staff really liked him. And then 2024, 2025 took a bench role and didn't really get big minutes, even though, again, we always talked about UCLA was so talent heavy. But I don't know. It seemed like he fell out of favor, at least, watching the games with the coaching staff at UCLA. He's playing at Missouri now. Obviously, he's not a number 1 option, but he's probably like a 3 or 4-ish type option on this Mizzou squad. They're starting Javon Porter at the 4. Porter's a transfer in his senior year from LMU. And then at the 5, they're currently playing, they're playing Northweather, right? Yeah, they're playing Luke Northweather at the 5. He is a transfer player from Oklahoma. Again, it's a good Missouri team. I don't think they're 8 points better, though, than the Golden Gophers. Now, it's hard to gauge really how good the Golden Gophers are because of their first 2 games. They beat up on 2 pretty bad teams. I mean, Gardner-Webb, with all due respect, I don't expect the Running Bulldogs to be all that great this season. In the Big South, they lost to a D2 school. The North Greenville Crusaders beat them the other day. Wow, okay. And then anyways, Minnesota's last victory is over the SWAC's Alcorn State. Again, if you know SWAC basketball, SWAC basketball is fun when they play each other, when they play non-conference games. And same thing with the MEAC sometimes, except for Norfolk State. Shout out to Brian Moore last season. Dude was a baller. Anyways, Minnesota obviously beats up an Alcorn State 95-50. Game's not competitive. Led in scoring by Cade Tyson. Tyson is a senior, obviously, for this Minnesota team. Was at UNC last year. He started his career at Belmont. Was a pretty big player for Belmont. And then, like some players will try to do, they'll go from the mid-majors all the way up to marquee programs, which I think is dumb sometimes. He goes to UNC, barely averages any minutes there. Doesn't play in quite a bit of games. Only averages like 6 minutes at night and averages 2 points a game. So made the better decision for him long term. Obviously going to Minnesota now, a place where he is going to start, a place where he's not going to get buried in the mix, I guess, or lost in the shuffle is what I'm looking for. But it's a Minnesota team that basically just restarted. I mean, it's like Indiana, it's like UNLV, which, by the way, how about Montana yesterday? How about Money Williams and the Grizzlies? They don't just go to UNLV and cover 10 points, they win by 10 points. Oh, man. I may or may not have live bet money line at halftime because I knew we had this. I thought we had the spread in the bag. Anyways, though, Minnesota completely just rehauled the lineup. Obviously, top players last year like Dawson Garcia, Mike Mitchell, Lucy Patterson, Parker Fox, they all graduated. And actually, legitimately, pretty much every single rotational player last year for the Golden Gophers is gone. They've obviously graduated. It's just a Minnesota team that has a bunch of mid-major players who I think are guys who did not really produce at the power level, especially like a guy like Cade Tyson. I don't mind it. They've got talent. It's like Indiana. You got a bunch of talent. Look at Jalen Crocker-Johnson, who played quite a bit last year for Colorado State, was a starter for most of the year for the Rams, comes in now. He's a starter at Minnesota. Again, Cade Tyson. How about Robert Vaihola, player who was at San Jose State last season, played some pretty big minutes for SJSU. He was a very undersized center for the Spartans last year. Obviously, he's not going to do what Dawson Garcia did for this Golden Gophers team last season, but Vaihola played against some really good centers last year in the Mountain West. Again, he was battling it out with players like Nelly Jr. Joseph last year for the Lobos. Vaihola started at Fresno, went to San Jose State. Now here he is at Minnesota. So you've got a lot of talent with the Golden Gophers this year, and a team that honestly I don't mind that much. I think they're pretty competitive with Mizzou today. I get it, games on the road, SEC crowd and whatnot, but ultimately to me this comes down to, is Missouri that much better than Minnesota? And I know Minnesota struggled quite a bit last year. I just named you all the players they lost with, Patterson, Garcia, Fox, Mitchell. Again, that lineup, in all fairness, did not cut it. I don't mind what Minnesota's got coming out this season, and I think they're going to cover 7.5 points. Again, we can't really take anything that either of these teams have done so far this season, considering neither of them have played good schools yet. But I think, again, Minnesota can cover on the road over in Columbia, plus 7.5 for the Golden Gophers today on the road. On to our third best bet of the video. I will say now, my favorite best bet of the day. I like this one the most out of anyone that I picked today. Give me UC San Diego on the road at the Save Mart Center against the Fresno State Bulldogs. No way, no how will Fresno win this game. I don't see it. Just because you blew out Long Beach State, a Long Beach State team that is without Devin Askew now, does not mean you're a good team. Okay, we picked Fresno earlier in the year. We saw a matchup with them in South Carolina upstate, and I went, you know what? I think Fresno can cover. No, what happened to them was what happened to UNLV last night. They were 9.5, 10-point favorites against SC Upstate. They straight up just lost the game. They didn't cover, and they didn't even win either. Okay, Fresno State was a team last year that was, in the midst of a gambling, gambling scandal, let's say. A bunch of players got let go from the team in the middle of the year because they were gambling on their own under props, I believe. Obviously, Fresno has kind of rebuilt this lineup a little bit. They have. I don't think they're better than UC San Diego. And UC San Diego, I'm not even going to really bring up last year, a little bit, but it doesn't really apply. It's a completely new UCSD squad. Last season was just UCSD's best possible year they could ever have. Every single main scorer for this team is either graduated or left. Tate Jones obviously was one of the players of the year, if not the player of the year, in the Big West last year. He obviously graduated. Tyler McGee was a big-time player for them, averaged 17 points per game. He has graduated. Hayden Gray, I believe, is somewhere in the G League right now, but he was a player last year for the Tritons as well. And then their only player who was going to return, or at least their only junior out of their big star players, was Norton Capich, and now he's at South Carolina. And he's actually playing decent rotational minutes for the Gamecocks, so good on him. So it's a completely new UCSD team, I understand that. I don't think you can say this team's worse than Fresno, though. Yeah, they're going on the road. I don't think the travel is going to really make that big of a difference. It's like no one really shows up to the Save Mart Center anyways. Trust me, I've been. Tom Beatty so far is the leading scorer for the Tritons. You may remember him from Hawaii last season. Started every single game for the most part for the Rainbow Warriors. More on the Rainbow Warriors later. Beatty was only like an 8 points per game scorer last season for the Rainbow Warriors. Averaging 16.5 so far this season, put up 18 in the Houston Christian game, and put up 15 in their D2 game. Who did they play? They played Laverne? Is that who they played? Yeah, they played Laverne in their first game. Again, Beatty's been good so far. Leo Beef from Malibu, has not played Division I basketball since 2023, where he was at Florida Atlantic, barely got run. Now he's playing big minutes for UC San Diego. And then Alex Chaikin is their other big-time scorer currently. This is a player that was at Lafayette last season. He's a sophomore out of Williamsburg, Virginia, averaging, again, so far this season, 12 points a game. There's players on UC San Diego. I look at Fresno State. I'm not sold at all. Again, I'm not going to even bring up, oh, look at last year. UCSD, could have gotten an at-large if they didn't win the Big West, right? They were the best mid-major team in the country. They were very competitive all year long. They beat UCI. Like, I'm not going to, I think UCI is better. I think. I don't know, actually, because UCI hasn't looked that good either this season. I don't know who the best team in the Big West is right now. Honestly, I have no clue. Is it actually UCR? Oh, it might be the cesspool, guys. It might be the cesspool. They might be, because they just went to New Mexico and won. Yeah. Is that team really? Oh god. Anyways, we will hate watch the cesspool later in the year. Just you wait, okay. Anyways, Fresno's not better than UC San Diego. I mean, this team lost at home to South Carolina Upstate. Who's to say they're going to beat UC San Diego? I understand it's not the same team as last year. Who the hell? I mean, Fresno is Jake Heiderbreder is the leading scorer right now. Okay, he's averaging 18 points per game. All right. Heiderbreder is a senior from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. This is a player who has transferred in from Clemson, was originally at Air Force. Guys, again, I have watched Fresno State play this year. I watched the South Carolina Upstate game, and they looked horrible. That is a bye game you are supposed to win, and you let SC Upstate walk into your building and beat you. After a first half in which that you were dominant, you were up by 9 points going into half. The ESPN, probability factor thing had you at a 96% chance to win the game at halftime, and you blow it. Unbelievable stuff. They shot 20% from the three-point line. They shot 30% from the field. They just attacked the free throw line all game. I mean, come on now. I mean, Fresno shot 22 free throws in that game. They could barely hit a shot. It's not a good team. It's not. Zayon Collins, again, will do some scoring as well. This is their junior point guard. He's a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. I think Zayon Collins, is he a sophomore or junior? He's a junior. That's a guy who's going to contribute, played quite a bit last year. Fresno started every single game for them. I'm not sold. I understand Tate Jones is gone and all those big-time players last year for the Tritons are no longer at the school. I don't care. This is a better team than Fresno State. And I think, top Big West teams should be able to beat bottom of the barrel Mountain West squads. So this should be a victory for UC San Diego. Again, how well will they play in once we get into actual Big West play? I don't know. Are they going to be able to beat Irvine this year? Can they beat the cesspool? Hell, Cal Poly's looking pretty good. They went to Seattle U the other day and beat them. More on Seattle U in just a few seconds here. We shall see. UCSB's looking good so far this year as well. But all I know, again, UC San Diego is a 2-0 team this season. Their wins are Laverne and Houston Christian, but I think they're going to go on the road and beat Fresno State. This is my favorite pick of the day. Fresno is not good. If you lose to South Carolina Upstate, you're not beating UC San Diego. Give me the Tritons on the road. Next up, to our fourth best bet of the video, we go to a Washington matchup, as we've got Eastern Washington going on the road to take on Seattle University at the Red Hawk Center. Eastern Washington may be 0-3 this year. They are not 7.5. They're not 8.5 points worse than Seattle University. No way, no how. Seattle University versus Cal Poly was actually a really fun game. It's one with a game-winning shot for the Mustangs as time expires. Cal Poly's hovering, around that 10-point deficit the entire game, but Jake Davis hits a three-pointer to win the game. It's an all-time sell job out of Seattle U in that game. They had a couple guys banged up throughout the course of the game. I don't know if they're going to be back tonight or not. But anyways, it's homecoming for Seattle U, obviously, because they don't have football, so they have to make a basketball game their homecoming game. I think that was their first home game of the year, too? How's your first game, your HOCO? Oh, they played Denver at home. They beat Denver. Whatever. So they lose to Cal Poly. Again, Poly, you know what they're going to do. They're a relentless shooting team. It's a bunch of guys who just sit outside the three-point line the entire game, and okay, we play 5 out. Who's ready to shoot? That's what the Mustangs do. It's how they won a lot of games towards the tail end of the year last year in the Big West. Anyways, though, Seattle used a 1-1 team this season. They didn't really impress me in the Cal Poly game. They had so many chances to bury Poly, and they just couldn't do it. Again, they've got some good players in the squad. Will Heimbrot is their guy. He's a sophomore who is averaging 22 points per game so far this year. Again, he's been at Seattle U for 2 seasons now. He did foul out in that game. You also have Braylon Maldonado was another big-time scorer for them. Senior point guard of Anchorage, Alaska. 28 points in the game against Denver, 17 against Poly. He started pretty much every single game last year for Seattle U as well. I'm not too impressed. Other than those two guys, the team's not very good. They're starting Jung-Suk Yo, who I don't think's very good. I watch Yo, or sorry, is it Yo or You? I think it's Yo. I'm fairly certain it's Yo. Yo just chucked up a million threes the entire game. It's like what Georgia Southern tried to attempt in the first half yesterday at FJCU, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, this team sucks. And then all of a sudden they start cashing all of them. Yeah, that's not what Jung-Suk Yo does. Dude was building a house all the bricks he was shooting. I look at Eastern Washington. Yes, they're an 0-3 basketball team. Guys, they have covered 8.5 points in every single game they've played so far this season. All road games. They're back on the road here before their first home game later this week against Eastern Oregon. But anyways, EWU's played a road schedule so far. They've played difficult games on the road, and they've covered in every single one that they've gone out and played. At UCLA, they lose by 6 points, 80-74. At Loyola Marymount, they lose 70-62. Somehow, someway, that is their biggest loss this season. Okay? At Colorado, a 102-97 loss on the road in Boulder by 5 points. Okay, and they are led in scoring by Isaiah Moses. He does come from the cesspool. He has escaped the cesspool, but he's at EWU now, averaging 20 points per game, again, starting point guard for the Eagles. He has been phenomenal so far this year. 15 points in both UCLA and LMU games. That led the team in both of those outings. And then in the Colorado game in overtime, Moses with 30 points in the matchup. Again, still not enough to give the Eagles the victory, but still, it's a team that can score. They put up 46 points in the second half against Colorado to send that game into overtime. I'm impressed. I am. And I watch Seattle. They are nowhere near that much better than Eastern Washington. Can they win? Will they win? Maybe. I still think a lot's being put into Seattle U right now because of how they beat Washington last year. But okay, like a lot of teams could have beaten Washington last season. And I get it, Eastern Washington was not one of those squads. They went into Seattle as well, to Husky Seattle, and did not beat the Huskies. But regardless, I think this is a very competitive game. Watching the way Eastern Washington's played this season, they've just been able to keep up. They refuse to completely get sat down in a game that they've played so far this season. And for the Seattle U Redhawks, the first victory over Denver, it is what it is. I don't expect the Pioneers to be anything special this season. Even though they did go to Montana State and win. Anyways, the game that's really key for me is the Seattle U Cal Poly game, guys. Cal Poly had a stretch in that game where they did not score for 6 minutes twice. They did it twice in the same game, and yet Poly still found a way to win. Seattle U and Cal Poly goes into halftime, and Poly's up by 1 point. Coming out the second half, Seattle University goes on like a 12-ish nothing run, 10-ish nothing run, and again, Poly, this is the first 6 minutes of the second half, Poly doesn't score. And Poly did that as well very early in the game. And obviously, again, Cal Poly can get themselves back into a game shooting-wise, but I don't care. If your opponent goes on multiple 6-minute long spells of not scoring and you still can't win the game, I don't know what to think of you. I don't know what to think. Seattle University fouls like no other as well. Whenever a player gets anywhere remotely near the paint, it is grab, it's pull, it's foul, send you to the line. And that's why their best player fouled out in their last game. So I'm going to be going here with Eastern Washington. I think Eastern Washington money line is very playable. Would I tell you that's the best bet? No. But at the value that you're getting it at tonight, plus 320 for Eastern Washington to win, I'm not saying play it, but it's I think that's very manageable. I'll leave it at that. That's manageable tonight. I'm going to go with Eastern Washington on the road, plus 8.5. That's automatic to me, guys. I think as the day goes on, I like the bets even better. I like the Fresno one the most, or obviously Fresno losing the most. But yeah, I'm all over EWU here to cover 8.5 points. I hope the line sticks, honestly. I'm recording this video at 2 in the morning, so I hope it's still the same in 3 hours. Let's hope. But I'm going to take Eastern Washington here on the road to cover 8.5 points against Seattle University. Maybe a slight sprinkle on the money line. I don't know. Just think about it. On to our final best bet of the video, guys. Okay. This is not satire. I'm serious. Mississippi Valley State plus 42 points. Yeah. Am I doing this partially because I want someone to watch late at night? No. I legitimately actually think MVSU can cover this line. I don't think Hawaii can really put a team away like that. I just don't think so. I know what you can say. Oh, they played Oregon really close. They almost had Oregon in Eugene. They almost did. I don't expect the East Texas A&M Lions to be anything this season. I really don't. Out of the Southland Conference, I think that team's very bad, at least what I've seen on paper and the slight, the only game I really have watched them play is the Hawaii game, in all fairness. Hawaii doesn't play defense in this game. They keep Eastern Texas A&M in the game, not really. The game's a blowout, but regardless, my point is Hawaii can't put this team away and put it on them. Okay, I think East Texas A&M is better than Mississippi Valley State in all fairness, but Hawaii, again, this is a very bad Lions team, and Hawaii only beats them by 26 points. Guys, you know how difficult it is to beat a basketball team by 42 points? Now, I get it. It's a SWAC team, and Mississippi Valley State for the longest time has been the worst team in college basketball. I mean, I went to a game once at Santa Clara where MVSU was at Santa Clara, and I witnessed the Delta Devils fail to score 40 points. The final score was 81-39 in favor of the Broncos. It was hilarious stuff. And MVSU, again, is known for just getting the shit beat out of them. But, guys, I will tell you this. Last year, they went to Iowa State their first game of the season. They only lost by 39 points. Okay? There are games where they kind of just hang around. Guys, they lost a game last year to North Texas on the road, 83-42. But you know what? That covers. And I get it. The travel, I'm sure, again, the Delta Devils guys are pumped to be in Hawaii, because usually they're just getting the shit beat out of them in, Ames, Iowa, or, Provo, Utah. Which, no disrespect to those places, I'm sure they're great, or Columbia, Missouri. But it's like, all right, you actually got to go to Hawaii to play a basketball game now. Now, guys, MVSU's won a game, okay? They've won a game. They started the year last year, and last year they started off the year with the win over the Squad. They did it again this year. Mississippi Valley State does have a win this season, guys, and it's against the Mississippi University for Women. Yes, they played a bunch of girls. They brought them all out on the court, and MVSU beat them. So it was a big win, man. I mean, it's like that whole argument as well, like, with the WNBA and what. I'm not even gonna get into that, but they brought a bunch of women onto the court, and the Delta Devils won. Shout out to Michael James. He dropped 25 points on the women, 35 points on the women. He's a very good scorer for this team. Obviously, I'm joking. No, the Mississippi University for Women actually has dudes at the school. I don't know anything about the school, so I'm not going to speak on it because I just don't know what goes on. But anyways, no, they actually there was men on the team. I want to make that very clear. They did not just beat, because if they only, in all fairness, guys, if the Delta Devils could only beat a women's team 97-61, I'd be a little concerned. I just would. Anyways, though, I expect MVSU, what they did in the game against the University for Women, is that they just played their guys a bunch of minutes, especially their leading scorer, who I guess they're just going to do this every game with him. So Michael James, who I was talking about, scored 35 points against the women. He played every single minute of that game. He did the same thing in their last game against Murray State. So you know what? Dude might be dead tired. He shot 4 for 12 in the Murray State game. But as long as the Delta Devils have their number one scorer on the court at all times, I don't think this gets beyond 42 points. It's a weird strategy because it's not like they play a 5-man rotation and they just play starters all game long for 40 minutes. No. Like they rotate the rest of their guys. It's just Michael James. They say, you know what, dude? All right, time to play the entire game, pal. He is I don't know if he's a JUCO or a D2 transfer, but it's his first year at MVSU, and they just run him into the ground. Why not? Hawaii, we've talked about them a little bit earlier on in the season. Going into the year, I didn't think they were going to be as good as last year. Maybe I've been proven wrong. I don't know. I just don't think Hawaii, ultimately, guys, MVSU is going to slow the game down a little bit because that's what they do, at least from what I've seen so far this year and what they did last year. So we can expect MVSU guys to score in a slower pace type game. I think they can score 45 tonight. I think they can. So that means, can Hawaii score to officially cover 88? In a game where MVSU is kind of slowing it down, I don't think so, man. I really think, again, I think 45 points is the number to watch today. If we can get 45 points out of the Delta Devils, I think we should be fine. I don't think Hawaii has the explosiveness of a Murray State or of a UAB to put up 100 plus points in them, and I get it. They did against East Texas A&M. I'm telling you, East Texas A&M is god-awful. And yes, Mississippi Valley State is too. But I think we're okay here. I don't think Hawaii maybe I'm selling the Devils short a little bit. Maybe they score more than 50. If they score 60, we're so set. 60 points and we're celebrating, okay? All I'm saying is I don't think Hawaii is 42 points better than any team, even, yes, the lowly Delta Devils. This is a big trip for these guys. They've never been to Hawaii. I think, if they want to, I was going to say some stupid reasoning. If they want to continue going to Hawaii every single year, they need to actually show something here. That doesn't even make sense. I'm taking Mississippi Valley State, though, legitimately, because they run Michael James into the ground. This is the guy that's going to save us tonight. And also, 42 points is just a ridiculous line in a basketball game for two Division I programs. All right, show some self-respect, go into Hawaii, and just play them competitively. And by competitively, I mean within 40 points. Give me the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils on the road in Honolulu, Hawaii, plus 42 for the Delta Devils to close the night at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern time over, again, on the East Coast. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on November 12th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets, and later today for our NBA best bets as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.